Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and these are 10 Asian horror films from the 2010s that you should watch. Let's do it. Miss Zombie 2013 from Japan. This film by Sabu takes place in a reality where zombie infections have many different stages, and full-blown zombie transformations take years to complete. Zombies with a low virus count are used as household servants, since they are relatively harmless if fed properly. One such zombie woman is the focus of this story. Spectacularly shot in black and white and glacially paced, this is an art house film that plays with genre conventions and expectations. The zombie is used as a protagonist that quickly earns the viewer's sympathy through a referenced backstory, as well as the fact that she is consistently harassed, and worse, by the humans. There's also an interesting family dynamic involving the little boy. The lead actress, Ayaka Komatsu, gives an outstanding silent performance. Pacing is glacial, as I said, and there is much repetition in her daily routine, but if you have a bit of patience, stay with it, because there is a lot of character development that is earned along the way. This is also disturbing on a psychological level. Scoring is minimal but effective, really impressive stuff. It's currently available on physical media. Horror Stories 3, 2016 from South Korea. This is an anthology of 4 short films with a total runtime of 94 minutes that are proficiently directed and acted from start to finish. There's some creative stuff here, with an emphasis on futuristic visuals during 2 of the segments. Story 1, A Girl from Mars, is the wraparound segment. Set in 2416 AD, a little girl from Mars seeks asylum at a space station run by robots. This has some very cool visuals involving space and water. Story 2, Fox Valley, is set in ancient Korea. 2 men visit a desolate area where the villagers believe that the nearby mountain is alive and must be tended to, which causes problems for the visitors. Good stuff, some very nice lighting, some of the nighttime shots use an otherworldly dark red feel that is very striking. Story 3, Road Rage, is set in the present day. A bickering couple are driving on a highway, but get into some serious trouble when they anger a truck driver. Probably the most relatable segment for viewers, if only because there are many bad and angry drivers on the road in real life. There are a few very good moments of suspense in this. I really like the ending as well. And Story 4, Ghost in the Machine, also known as Robot Spirit, is set in the not-too-distant future. A child robot temporarily malfunctions while babysitting a human boy. The mother finds out and makes the decision to discard it for a newer version, but this thing may not go quietly. Probably the creepiest story of the bunch, with enough horrific robotic imagery to satisfy. Horror Stories 3 is my favorite of this trilogy of anthologies, and it is currently available on Amazon streaming in the United States. Dream Home 2010 from Hong Kong. Ho Chung Pang ventures into horror territory with this very violent Category 3 callback that depicts a late-night murder spree in a high-end apartment complex. The murderer, played by Josie Ho, is a protagonist-antagonist blend that is humanized through flashbacks and properly developed. One would be wise to avoid reading plot summaries because they will likely spoil the logic and reasoning behind the murders, which is revealed later on in the film. The violence is brutal, graphic, and reminiscent of European efforts from the mid-2000s due to its visceral nature. Pang uses his art house style to capture some great shots, and Ho's performance is very good. This grabs you from the very first minute. Available on Amazon streaming in the United States. Take Me Home 2016 from Thailand. A young man with amnesia successfully finds his family and moves into their large house, but his sister exhibits some odd behavior, and our protagonist begins seeing strange things. The scares in this film are actually very strong. It truly creates a sense of unease that contributes a few legitimately surprising and intense scenarios. Script writing is tight as well, with our protagonist thrown into situations that have no easy solution. In terms of pacing, a bit slow at the start, but the story and mystery ramp up near the midpoint and are very engrossing. This is a proficiently made film with solid acting and direction. Sound design is fantastic. The viewer should pay attention to the details because the ending is a little bit confusing and will likely require multiple viewings. This is probably the best Thai horror film of the 2010s that I have seen so far, and it's currently available on Amazon streaming in the United States. The Road, 2011, from the Philippines. This film by Yam Laranas is divided into 3 segments. The first story concerns 3 young teenagers who drive down a desolate road at night, not knowing that it's haunted. This is a very cool, lengthy sequence with some nasty-looking ghouls. The atmosphere is dense, and the scare tactics are nicely crafted. The next 2 stories are flashbacks that show the historical acts of violence that are connected to the hauntings. The style here is very professional, great photography, eerie scoring, solid performances. No humor or stupid one-liners to be found at all. The deliberate pacing and gloomy mood will likely wear viewers down over the course of the runtime, which is a trait that I find to be a very positive thing. It's currently available on physical media. Mon 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 Monsters, 2017, from Taiwan. Now, don't let the dumb title fool you. This one is a big surprise. A meek, straight-A student gets punished with a gang of bullies and told to perform community service for the elderly, but they come across some nasty ghouls. The bullying aspect of this film is really emphasized. You do get the typical stuff, like physical abuse in school, which adds to a sense of frustration for our protagonist and the viewer, which is effective. But we also get a very multi-dimensional relationship between the protagonist and his bullies. This is the part that's pretty fascinating because it's psychological and very fluid. Your interpretation of their relationship changes at times. Also, the protagonist is pulled emotionally in a lot of different directions. I think the scriptwriters did a really good job, and this theme is present throughout the entirety of the film. It's available on Amazon streaming in the United States. Impetigore, 2019, from Indonesia. Down on her luck, Maya learns that she may inherit a house in her ancestral village, but some of the villagers want her dead. This film by Joko Anwar has stylish, effective direction and camera work. The forest village setting provides a hot, tribal environment with overgrown plants everywhere, even inside the abandoned house. Sound design and scoring are impressive. It's deliberately paced, but the horror scenes are spaced out nicely throughout its runtime. The opening sequence at a toll booth is particularly effective, and there's a fake-out scare that was done very well, and I usually hate those. Some scenes do get violent, and they certainly have an intensity to them. The ending is a bit of an anticlimax, but overall this is good stuff. It's available on Shudder streaming in the United States. I Am a Hero, 2015, from Japan. A mysterious zombie virus suddenly spreads throughout Japan, causing widespread panic. An underachieving manga assistant gets caught up in the chaos, so he requests assistance from his trusty shotgun. The monster designs of these zombies are very good and excessively nasty looking, with an emphasis on off-center eyeballs, irrational speech, and awkward body movements. Some of the zombies move fast, others move slow. There are some questionable reactions by the characters when faced with danger, but the action is exciting and fun to watch, relying mostly on grounded, realistic, bloody violence. And there is a lot of gory violence in this one, especially near the end. The plot is generic and is similar to many other zombie movies, but there are a few surprises along the way. The character moments also add some drama and are nicely executed. This was directed by Shinsuke Sato. It's available on Amazon streaming in the United States. The Piper, 2015, from South Korea. This film is inspired by the Pied Piper of Hamelin legend. Shortly after the Korean War, a father and a son are wandering through the country and make a stop in a remote village, where the residents still believe the war to be ongoing. During his visit, the protagonist attempts to help the villagers with their rat infestation problem, but he gets a bit too nosy regarding their local secrets. The horror elements are backloaded, but the opening 45 minutes do a nice job at establishing the characters and conflicts. This builds a nice dramatic impact when the horror arrives. Direction and performances are very good. This is an old-school, classy, legend-inspired horror film, and it is available on physical media. The Sleep Curse, 2017, from Hong Kong. Anthony Wong and Herman Yao reunite for this new Category 3 entry that calls back to some of their older collaborations like The Untold Story. A neurologist performs intense research on the science behind sleep. One of his former lovers arrives and requests his help in finding a cure for her older brother's extreme case of insomnia. This film is more nuanced than you might expect, with a multi-layered and well-developed backstory that explains the origin of this curse that is rooted in real-life history. There's also an interesting lecture related to sleep early on. Some good horror imagery is peppered in, but the highlight is the finale, a moderately lengthy feat of graphic violence, available on physical media. So there you have it. There's 10 Asian horror films from the 2010s that you should watch. And if you like watching Japanese horror films without subtitles, I would also recommend Hellgirl from 2019, It Comes from 2018, and Liverly from 2018. I have reviews of all of those on my channel. All three of those, very solid and entertaining. I really hope they get English language releases at some point in the future. So if you want more Asian horror recommendations, check out my Asian horror playlist on this channel, where I reviewed over 700 Asian horror movies, and I will include a link below to the Asian horror playlist for you. And as always, we'll see you next time.